So you're saying it was El Paso's wish that AIG not contribute any money towards the Owens settlement?
Yes.
And was it PSI's wish that AIG not contribute any money towards the Owens
I don't
settlement?
recall it specifically being PSI's wish. I know it was El Paso's.
Just to make absolutely certain, because we're not going to have you probably in Denver, so I want to make sure I got this clear. It's your testimony that El Paso told you that they did not want AIG to put up any money to settle the Owens claim as of May 25, 2007.
It is my recollection that your partner and El Paso asked us to waive certain policy conditions to allow them to pay the money. That's my recollection based upon as we sit here today and looking at what you've given me to look at. We were doing a favor to your partner and El Paso by waiving those policy conditions such as voluntary payment and consent.
And you received something in return, didn't you?
Yes.
What did you receive in return?
I requested that they not assert typical claims for file handling, bad faith file handling.
So a couple years ago, one of our clients, which at the time was called El Paso Corporation, which is now part of the Kinder Morgan group of companies, which is the largest pipeline operator in the United States. They were installing a parallel pipeline, underground, high pressure natural gas pipeline in southern Wyoming. And there was already an existing pipeline that was in that area underground. So they were running a parallel pipeline to that existing pipeline. So the company goes out and contracts with a vendor who's going to do the actual trench and the digging and the installation of the pipe, and a number of these contractors. So we make sure that our client, El Paso Corp, is an additional insured and gets coverage under its subcontractors and its vendors' policies in case something goes wrong, right? When you're doing a construction project like this. Well, unfortunately, something went terribly wrong. Part of the process of building this new pipeline is one of our subcontractors was charged with marking the existing pipeline in the area. The next day, when one of the backhoe crane operators came in to dig the new trench, he wasn't aware where the existing pipeline was. And unfortunately, he tapped into the high pressure natural gas pipeline, which created an explosion that some people estimated resulted in a fireball 400 feet in the air, temperatures well over 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. We had a catastrophic situation. The crane operator, unfortunately, perished. The machinery was destroyed. The pipeline that was already constructed was destroyed, and about 4 acres of grasslands were burned and destroyed. So we're looking at a very sizable claim. The policy in place was issued by AIG to our subcontractor. But again, we have rights to that policy because the company was an additional insured. So we got together and banded together with our subcontractor to try and resolve this very, very terrible situation. We put the claim in jointly to AIG, notified AIG of the property damage and the bodily injury claim that was filed by the decedent's family. AIG refused to pay, refused to acknowledge coverage, in fact, refused to participate in the proceedings at all. The company took what they thought was the fair route, and they provided a very reasonable offer to the family, which they accepted. Along with our subcontractor, we did a joint offer. We then went back to AIG a second time. AIG again says no, and they refused to contribute 1 penny towards this settlement. So we and our contractor jointly filed suit against AIG. And again, going through litigation, giving AIG a chance to settle with us. AIG at every turn refuses. They have called many depositions. They request many millions of pages of documents, and they essentially take what we consider to be very egregious positions, such as you pay the family too much money, such as the person operating the metal detector is a professional who is like a licensed professional, and therefore our policy doesn't cover it. You should go under an errors and omission policy, basically a professional malpractice policy. We had AIG's expert testify that a 15-year-old could start operating that within an hour. But yet they said it was a professional, licensed operation, and they're going to rely on this exclusion. We go to trial in Denver, Colorado in 2012. 3-week trial before a judge, no jury. We had a bench trial, and I'm happy to report that we won. Not only did we get the full policy limits under the AIG policy for our client and the subcontractor, but the judge awarded punitive damages against AIG, essentially finding AIG acted so egregiously, so dismissively, that they were acting in bad faith against their policyholders, and basically hit them with an award that was almost 3 times policy limits. We took a $5 million policy and we got an award for almost $13 million, right? Just because of AIG's failure to act reasonably. It wasn't just AIG in terms of how they treated the claim early at the outset, but it was the entire process. It was AIG and how they treated the company all the way through litigation and into trial. In fact, we have a deposition that we videotaped of the lead AIG adjuster that we used at trial. We used it at trial because this particular person refused to appear at trial. So because of Colorado court rules, we're allowed to use the videotape deposition. And you could see just in his deposition of this AIG adjuster how dismissive, how just really angry and bitter he is about this claim and what our clients were involved in. But you told me, did you not, that El Paso asked National Union to contribute money to selling the Owens
I
claim?
need to review the claim file, counselor.
All right, we are reviewing. I'm just asking if you
Okay,
remember.
we're not reviewing it. Give me the file in front of me, show me El Paso's, and then I'll answer your question, counselor. Stop harassing me.
I'm just asking if you recall. And I thought, maybe I misheard
I
you.
don't recall without my review of the claim file, counselor.
Okay, you don't recall. Okay.
There was a demand made at some point, but I don't know if that was before the mediation or after the mediation. I don't know if a demand to pay $3.1 million to PSI's insurers occurred before the mediation and or after. I assume it didn't occur before. There was a demand that we pay all damages. That was the notice, obviously, or the tender from El Paso, just so we're clear. So again, without reviewing the file, I don't recall specifically. From what I've reviewed here, I know I was never asked to pay $2.1 million. And I'm sorry to the extent I said $3.1 million before. The deal to me was always, please waive this so we can pay it and settle by the deadline imposed by the plaintiffs.
Let me show you another
I
document.
did them a favor, really.
Okay. I will tell you, they don't consider it a favor, but we'll...
Well,
that's
that
up-
was the only
that's up-
request that
that-
was made at
that
that
won't-
time.
This person was so extreme that the judge really pointed him out, in his opinion, as one of the bases for his finding a bad faith and awarding a punitive damages. So really, this case was very difficult, given the facts, with a fatality involved, particularly, of course. And also, this is a case where Miller Friel litigated not just to trial, but we went through trial. I think this is another great example of what Miller Friel does. We are claims advisors, we are claim negotiators, and we try to reach business compromises where we can. But if we can't, because of a carrier's position that it refuses to pay or won't pay a reasonable amount of money, we will litigate for our clients. We will litigate through trial, and we will litigate through the full appeals process to vindicate our clients' rights. We have the experience here at Miller Friel for these trials and before judges and juries around the country. And it's that experience that really, we think, results in the successes that we see on the front end with our business negotiations, because insurance carriers know Miller Friel will go to trial if we can't work out a deal.